Welcome to the Inside Syracuse Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Krause Health, the official partner of Syracuse Athletics, providing the latest technology and expertise in the treatment of stroke and cardiac emergencies. I'm Mike Waters. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by former Syracuse basketball player Cole Swider. I talked with Cole about the NBA draft, when he knew the Lakers had offered him a deal, his amazing run at the NBA Summer League, and what he's doing now to get ready for the Lakers training camp. Well, welcome back to the Inside Syracuse Basketball Podcast. And today we've got a great guest and a familiar face to all Syracuse basketball fans because he was suiting up for the Orange just this past season. It's former Syracuse player Cole Swider. Cole, welcome to the podcast for the second time.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me back on. And obviously, always have a special place in my heart for Syracuse. So yeah, it's great. It's great to link with you again.
Well, you know, what's funny is the first time you came on the podcast was before you had ever played for Syracuse. In fact, it was just after you had decided to transfer from Villanova to Syracuse. Who would have thought then that the next time you're on the podcast, you'd be wearing a Lakers basketball t-shirt?
Yeah, man, it's God's work, man. I mean, I'm just so thankful of being able to go to Syracuse for a year. Not having the season that we wanted, but be able to go out there and show what I could do, and then have this opportunity with the Lakers. I'm just so thankful and blessed to have been a part of the Syracuse basketball program and play for Coach Boeheim, GMAC, Red, Griff, and everything that came with the season. Obviously, so many close losses, a lot of tough games, but it's all a blessing to be here and just very thankful.
You know, it was a tough season last year in general for the team, going 16 and 17. But for you, you know, kind of putting the season in a way aside for a second, where you are now, could you have imagined at the time when you're deciding to transfer to Syracuse that you would be in this position after just 1 year at SU?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was definitely a possibility. You know, I mean, I always try and have great belief in myself, and I thought that going to SU would give me a chance to show what I could do on a big stage in the ACC. And Coach Boeheim told me from the time I got there, you're going to be playing 30 minutes a game. You're not coming out, and you have to earn everything that you get. But at the same time, there's opportunity for you here. So obviously the season went how it went, and got an opportunity to. Even after the season, I was considering coming back to Syracuse, but everyone told me and all eyes told me to go on the next step and challenge yourself in the NBA. So just very blessed and thankful. Like I keep saying, and just happy that I came to Syracuse.
You know, tell me about that decision to leave Syracuse, or actually not really leave it per se, because it was your fourth year of school, but you did have the option of coming back for an extra year. You know, and obviously the NBA isn't a sure thing because, I mean, you weren't even drafted. So really take me through that process and what you were hearing.
Yeah, I think that whole entire process, like after the season, you know what I mean? I try to take a week to not think about things. And then once we started the process of listening to agents and talking to Coach Boeheim and talking to GMAC and everyone who was in the program, it was one of those decisions where Coach Boeheim told me from the beginning, he's like, hey, like whatever you need to do, I'm here for. And obviously we'd love to have you back. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for you. And just having that just no pressure and making the best decision for me was such a blessing. Coach Boeheim never wavered in that. He never pressured me that he needed me back, because honestly, if Coach Boeheim, just how loyal and thankful I was to him, if he was saying, hey, Cole, I need you back, I might have gone back just out of loyalty to him. But the whole entire time, him, GMAC, Red, all those guys, they were just, hey, whatever's best for you, whatever you're hearing. And it was just, I'm just so thankful that it worked out the way it did. But that, like you said, there was no guarantees, and it's just a blessing to be here.
So I'm sure some people listening to this podcast are wondering why, you know, Jim Boeheim wouldn't be more selfish, you know, and say, come on back. Like if all he really has to do is, you know, kind of pull at your emotional heartstrings a little bit, you know, he could have had you in Orange again. And I'm sure there's another segment of the fan base who was like, you know, this is actually how you develop player loyalty and trust, right?
Yeah, I think one thing about Coach Boeheim that not a lot of people talk about is just how loyal he is. He's the most loyal human being I've ever been around. You can see with his staff, he has 3 former players and a former manager on the staff. You know what I mean? Our video coordinator has been there for 30 years, or 20 years, 25 years, whatever, however long it's been. Coach Boeheim's, like I said, he's a special person to me. He gave me a chance, and yeah, I think out of loyalty to him, I may have came back, but at the end of the day, he didn't care about the short term for me. He cared about the long term, and he knew the best decision for me long term was to pursue the NBA. And I'm just so thankful for him that he kind of he gave me that freedom to make that decision on my own.
So you decide to enter your name into the draft on draft night. What are your thoughts as the draft's going on? Are there expectations that you are going to get selected, or do you have intel, from an agent who's kind of like letting you know what's going to happen? Because sometimes it seems like, everybody does know what's happening on draft night, and it's just a mystery to us who are watching it on TV.
Yeah, I would actually say it's the other way around. I think everyone thinks they're going to get drafted going into draft night, and there's a lot of people who are kind of shocked when they don't get drafted. So I thought there's 5 teams on draft night that had talked about drafting me, but at the end of the day, all those teams didn't end up selecting me, and the Lakers told me that if I was around after the draft, that there'd be a good opportunity to be possibly a 2-way. So obviously picking the Lakers was the best decision for me, just the roster composition, how they have all the money tied up in 3 players, and how they need shooting on the roster. So I think it was just overall the best place for me to be, and it was the best decision for me to make at that time.
Now, Syracuse fans know this part. You had an amazing summer league with the Lakers, starting out with a couple games in San Francisco, but the 5 in Vegas, averaging like a little over 15 points a game and shooting 50% from 3, and not just 1 for 2 a night. You're you're taking over 7.5 3-pointers a game, and you're making 50% of them. Take me through summer league. I mean, why were you able to get so many good shots and take advantage of them?
Yeah, I just think from the beginning, Coach Ham brought me in. He's like, "Hey, every single time you get the ball, shoot it." You know what I mean? I think the first game I was a little hesitant, and a bunch of my teammates just came up to me, and Coach Ham came up to me and was like, "Hey, like, we want to let that thing go." You know what I mean? He has a term, and he's like LTF, just let it fly. You know what I mean? Or LIF, let it fly. And like from the beginning, he just made sure that I knew that he wants me shooting a lot of shots, and obviously not having 4 or 5 draft picks or 4 or 5 young guys on the team helped me a lot to be able to get that confidence. And by the end, they were running plays for me after timeouts and running plays for me at like first play of the game, first play of the half. And it was just honestly a great situation for me to come into, and I got a lot of opportunity to go out there and play without even thinking about coming out, which was great.
Sometimes when I watch summer league games, to be honest, the teams don't look cohesive, and I understand why. Guys are just thrown together pretty much at the last minute, but a guard may ignore a big guy open on the wing in order to do his own thing and try to impress somebody. When I watched the Lakers summer league team, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like there was a lot of sharing of the ball going on. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I think from day one, I think Coach Ham, he was in a lot of our practices early on. He was running some of those practices early on, and he said, "What we do as Lakers is that we share, and the best way that all you guys can get contracts, the best way all you guys can get looked at is making sure that you guys are sharing the ball, doing the right things." And honestly, it was the best news. It was the best thing that we could have heard, and I thought we did a great job. And some of the games that we lost, I think we didn't do it as well. But I think overall the summer league was great. I made a lot of great connections. I thought a lot of the players that I played against who were on my team did great in summer league. And honestly, I thought it was overall a great experience for everyone. But yeah, I thought Coach Ham did a really good job right from the beginning, making sure that we knew that we were passing the ball and holding guys accountable when they didn't.
You're obviously, you keep mentioning Darvin Ham. He's going to be a first-time head coach in the league. Is that a good thing for you, being a rookie and having a guy who's, new to this with the Lakers and maybe open to finding a couple young players to add to his roster and develop them?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I think he comes from a system in Milwaukee where they really develop their young guys. He was an undrafted guy himself, so he knows the grind of it. And also, just I think just him being a first-time head coach, we're going to go through this together for the first time. So everyone's learning the new style of play on the team. Everyone is kind of picking up things at the same time, and obviously being able to play with geniuses like LeBron and AD and Russell Westbrook, it will make my transition a lot easier. Ask those guys questions, just being around them and everything going forward. So I think Coach James has done a great job of coming in, setting his principles, and going from there.
When you're not drafted, you're actually now in a position, you and your agent are in a position where you can choose, have as much control over where you're going. It's not so much the teams picking you. I mean, so did you and your agent really put your heads together and try to find you a place? Did you have those kind of options?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think on draft night, we narrowed down a couple options that if I were not to get drafted, that we were really going to target. I got brought back for 2 workouts at 3 different places. So I thought those 3 places would be good options for me after the draft. I had second workouts with the Hawks, the Lakers, and the Bucks. So I thought those 3 situations would have been good for me. And after the draft, we kind of went in that situation. I was just very fortunate the Lakers called me while the draft was going on and offered me the contract. So it was great.
While the draft was going on?
Yeah, because the agents have intel based on who's going to get drafted at this spot, or Milwaukee had the last pick in the draft, and we thought that could have been a good situation, but they were going another direction. So they called my agent and offered me the 2-way around 55, 56, and I was able to tell everyone in my house that I was going to the Lakers. So it was nice not having to wait.
What was that moment like? After putting down the phone and turning around, and who all was there, and what was the environment like?
Yeah, it was a lot of close friends and family. Coach Hart, that you got a lot of people know in Syracuse really well for having so many players play at Syracuse. And I had some Syracuse managers there. None of my Syracuse coaches could come because they were in the middle of summer workouts, but just a lot of close friends and family who helped me along this process and journey. So I could feel the room getting kind of tense towards the end. So I went up and just told everyone, hey, like, you guys are my closest friend and family. I have no shame in going undrafted. I have no shame in whatever happens tonight. You guys are the people that have helped me get to this point. So it was just overall just a blessing, a great feeling, and it's hard to describe it. Yeah.
So I'm sitting here thinking, with 3 picks left in the draft, you've already gotten the phone call with your agent in the Lakers, and nobody tweet this, but guess what? If anybody puts this out like Woj or Shams, we're in trouble, but I'm going to the Lakers.
Yep.
Yeah?
No, I at that point, I think Shams already tweeted out. So things go quickly right after the draft. So I know everyone's kind of getting on the phone and trying to figure out what their next destination is. So I know Buddy was a pretty similar situation that he heard like around the same time as I did, or soon after the draft, because as soon as I got on my phone, I saw that Buddy had the 2-way with the Pistons, and I was just so excited for him as well.
Explain as much as you can the dynamics of a 2-way deal, because that's what you've signed with the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean the dynamics of the 2-way deal is that you're on both rosters. You're on the NBA roster and the G League roster, and you're the 16th and 17th man for the NBA team. Only the first 4 years of your NBA career you can sign a 2-way deal. So it's implemented for younger players to have an opportunity to be that 16th, 17th man. You can play up to 50 NBA games. You make half the rookie minimum. So it's a great deal, and it's a great thing for guys like me and Buddy, who may not be good enough to get drafted right now, but we'll still have the opportunity to go into summer league and be a priority on these teams. So there's obviously a lot more that goes into the 2-way, but that's kind of like the easy rundown of it.
And the other player with the Lakers that's on a 2-way deal is Scottie Pippen Jr., right?
Yep.
Famous name.
Yep. Yeah.
What was it like and Sharif O'Neal was also on the Lakers Summer League roster.
Yeah.
What were their dads around at all? What's that like? When if you do see like a Scottie Pippen or a Shaquille O'Neal and you're playing with their kids.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty was courtside for almost all of our games. He came to our games in San Francisco, and he's been very supportive of me. After one of the games, I beelined to him and gave him a quick dab because the whole entire time he was on the sideline telling me to shoot. So those guys have been great. I didn't get to see Shaq while we were out there. I think he didn't want the attention to be on him. So I think overall, it's just the kids have been great. They're super humble, super easy to talk to. They're obviously very, very good players, and me and Scotty got really close over summer league, and I thought it showed on the court a little bit too. So Scotty's a great player. Sharif obviously just signed a really good deal with G League Ignite, and I'm super happy for him as well.
So when does training camp start, and what do you do in this time before it does?
Yeah, so right now we're in off-season training activities, which is optional. But for guys like me and the rookies, it's, you know what I mean, you got to be out here. So right now we're working out in the morning. A lot of guys were here. We actually had 10 players here today, so that was good. We got to play some 5-on-5. We got some skill work in. We got to go over some defensive concepts and everything like that. Coach Ham was in the building, kind of going through it. And then after that, so this will go on to the end of August. We'll get to go home, and then after Labor Day, that's when all the vets will come in. All the guys like AD, LeBron, Russ, all those guys will come back and start playing pickup from there. And then training camp starts at the end of September. And then once training camp preseason, and after that, the regular season starts shortly thereafter. So it's definitely a different schedule than college. College, you're practicing all year round. You're practicing in the summer. You're practicing in the fall. And the games don't start till early November. But in the NBA, it picks up fast. And I feel like there's not a downtime in the NBA, but it goes quickly from the draft to summer league to OTAs to quickly thereafter training camp, and the season starts.
So are the guys that are there in LA now basically the same ones that played on the summer league team, or are there some different faces around?
There's a lot of the guys in the summer league, but also there's a lot of the younger guys on the team. Lonnie Walker's here, Troy Brown Jr. is here, Juan Toscano-Anderson's here. We had 4 guys on our summer league team playing today, and then we had 6 guys who are on the roster who are younger guys. So it's a good mix of guys, a lot of younger guys who obviously they want them to get a head start on learning the concepts before all the older veterans get here. So it's been a great experience so far.
Even a younger guy like a Lonnie Walker, who Syracuse fans will remember from the University of Miami, guys like that can provide some guidance for a rookie such as yourself.
Yeah, no, for sure. All those guys have been great. I mean, Lonnie entered the NBA when he was 19. He's 23 now, so he's already been in the NBA for 4 years, and we're the same age. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different dynamic, but they've all been great. Troy Brown, same thing. He's been in the NBA for 4 years already. Juan Toscano-Anderson's been in the NBA for 4 years. So I think overall it's just a lot of just picking those guys' brains, hearing from them, and obviously all those guys play with star players. From Troy playing with Bradley Beal, from Juan Toscano-Anderson winning a championship with the Warriors, and so they know what it's like to kind of play with star players, and that's what it is in the NBA. You got to have your star players and then the players who play off those star players.
What's your average day like out there right now?
Yeah, try and get to the facility around 8 a.m. We usually have a lift around 9. Lift from like 9 to 10, and then we usually get on the court from around 10 to 11:30, and then get some treatment, get in the cold tub, and then you're usually good for the day. And then if you want to, you can come back later and shoot. But that's part of the NBA that everyone says to get used to, is you got to find another hobby, because you don't have class, you don't have study hall, you don't have the extracurricular things that you have in college. So I think overall it's just trying to find a couple of different things, but also just staying in the gym as well.
So learning to play the guitar or learning to speak French, what is it? What's your hobby?
Yeah, I was honestly in class until last Friday. So I was busy in class doing all that stuff. I was doing that through summer league, so trying to stay on top of class. And so I haven't really picked up a new hobby. I love playing golf, so going to the driving range every now and then. But yeah, I still got to pick up a new hobby. So just trying to figure that out. Maybe the guitar, though.
I've planted the seed in his head. Class. Are you finishing up your degree? Is that what's going on with having to do that?
Yeah, I just finished it up. So just finished up college, and yeah, I was doing it through summer league. I was doing it through the pre-draft process, and just part of transferring over from Villanova. I had to finish up some credits, and that was one deal that I made with my mom when I transferred. So she's like, "Hey, make sure you finish your degree." So when I transferred to Syracuse, we set it up all set up, and it just worked out that I had to finish 2 classes in the summer. So I just finished up my last class. So it's definitely a relief, and thankful I got it done with.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What'd you get your degree in?
Communications and rhetoric studies. So maybe head into the podcast field. Who knows?
Oh, no. You're going to invade my space? That's great. Okay. No, actually, there's plenty of room out here. Start your own podcast. I'd love to listen to it. Who's your first guest?
Maybe Coach Boeheim. I feel like that would be a good guest to have. You know what I mean? He has a lot of stories, coached a lot of great players. G-Mac would be a great guest. Maybe Buddy and Jimmy, a little brother edition. I don't know, but obviously having a lot of friends throughout the NBA, a lot of guys who have played a lot of great players. I think it's just all about learning their stories, learning how they grew up, and kind of some of the obstacles they had to go through. So I think that'd be a cool thing to do.
I'd listen. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Now, I've seen the refrigerator open a couple times. I don't know who's going into it, but so what does an NBA rookie have in his fridge? I mean, are you eating well?
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm in the Lakers facility right now, so everything in there is good stuff. Whether that's protein shakes, electrolyte drinks, water. They have some snacks in there for us, fruit. So yeah, it's all good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I try to be a pretty healthy eater myself, and yeah, so
okay. So you're at the Lakers facility. You're not at like in an apartment or condo.
No, not right now. No.
Okay, very good. Have you thought or considered what it's going to be like next month playing or practicing with LeBron James and Anthony Davis?
Yeah, I mean, LeBron's been in here a couple of times, and actually got to talk to him a few times at Summer League and being here. And LeBron's always been my favorite player. So just being here, actually having a relationship with him has been awesome. So it's one of those things where I don't know if it'll ever get normal, but at the same time, it's just a blessing to be here and be able to learn from him as well.
I mean, you have to sit there and go, just be cool. Just be cool.
For sure. I think with those guys, you got to be yourself, because that's what they want. That's what they want you to be. So just trying to be myself, trying to stay true to who I am, and just shoot the ball for
them. Yeah, just shoot the ball. The Lakers G League team, it's right there also in LA, right? So even when you're on the G League roster, you'll be around the Lakers franchise, correct?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about being with the Lakers is that they live in the same facility. The G League lives in the same facility as the actual Lakers. So we play our games in the practice facility. We have a locker room in the practice facility as well. So everything is intertwined. We use the same weight room, we eat the same meals. So it's one of those things where I'm just super fortunate to be in the same facility as the Lakers. So when I'm going back and forth between teams, it's not going to be a huge difference. And everything's here. So it works out really well.
So there you are in LA, 2-way contract, just 1 year after going to SU. Do you ever think about where you would be had you stayed at Villanova for your senior year?
Yeah, I've thought about it a little bit, and I honestly don't know. I think with Colin Gillespie and Jermaine Samuels coming back, it kind of would have been hard for me to kind of break out the way I did at Syracuse. So nothing but love for guys over there, but definitely think going to Syracuse was the best decision for me and my future.
I mean, certainly you are like the poster boy for the transfer portal and immediate eligibility, right? If you had to sit out a year after being at Villanova for 3, I mean, I guess you could have done it, but that's a tougher decision at that point, right?
Oh, I totally agree. I think just with implementation of that rule of being able to play right away was something that really led to my decision.
Considered.
Yeah, I think just going back to the decision, I think just the comfort that I have with the coaching staff, with the players, with just the system that Coach Boeheim ran, I knew I was going to be able to shoot a lot of threes. I knew I was going to be involved in the offense, be able to play the way that I knew I could play. And I knew overall that playing the ACC, playing on a big stage at Syracuse, where they just came off a Sweet 16 run as well. I thought it was just a really great situation for me. And just seeing the roster kind of clear up with Quincy leaving, with Alan Griffin leaving, it just gave a lot of clarity. Even with Robert Braswell leaving, just gave a lot of clarity for me to go in and go play right away. So I think those things. And then in terms of other schools that recruited me, I had a lot of schools when I went to the portal, but I think Indiana would have been a school I would have considered if I had not gone to Syracuse. Arizona, Rutgers. I mean, I had a bunch of schools, and Florida was another school. So I think there was a bunch of schools that I could have went to, but Syracuse was the best decision in my life. So I'm just very happy and fortunate that Coach Boeheim took a chance on me.
Well, I'm glad the decision worked out for you. Obviously, it has, because there you are, right here on the podcast, second time around, arms folded with a Lakers shirt on. That must be pretty cool. Well, listen, I know Syracuse fans will be following you, throughout the process. Good luck at training camp next month, and don't be a stranger here on the pod. Before you get your own, you might need to come back a couple more times and kind of really get the ins and outs of a podcast.
Hey, definitely, man. Thank you for having me back on. Nothing but love for Syracuse and the fans, and I'll definitely be back. Hopefully, watch a couple games, and obviously be cheering on Syracuse from afar. So, like I said, thank you, and hope all is well with you and your family.
Well, there he is, folks. Cole Swider, now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Cole, again, thanks for coming on the podcast, and for the listeners out there, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.